3 posts a day to the best of your ability. The other thing that people will do wrong with what I just said is they'll post once every 3 days. That's like doing a push-up and thinking you're doing good health and wellness. The good news with TikTok is it's completely based on interest. So you can post something that gets 14 views and the next one might get 47,000. So because you're succumbing to the algorithm, get out of your own head. Like, don't worry about anything, literally, besides making it. You're not going to be right anyway. So you almost have to go through, like, almost think of it this way, 500 posts before you're allowed to think what's going to work. You don't like being on camera because you feel self-conscious. You don't like how your voice sounds. You don't like you can hack around everything. Like, a lot of people who follow me, they think they have to be so high energy. I'm like, no, you have to be yourself.
Hey, Gary, how you doing?
I am well. Hey, Britt. Hey, Joe.
Gary.
Welcome.
Everybody.
Thank you, Brittany, for everything. Appreciate it so much. And we're going to get started here for you, Gary, because I know you're pretty busy and we want to get this plugged in. So let's do a quick little round robin. We'll go around the room. I'm going to introduce you to Gary, give quick 30-second high level, just vital signs of you and your company. Then we'll come back around, we'll spotlight you, and you can have your time with Gary. So we're going to start out in Vancouver, BC, Gary, with Inga van Olak, who is working at one of the biggest brands in the world, but she's here to really unlock her personal brand. So Inga, say hi to Gary.
Oh, hi, Gary.
Hi, Inga. How are you?
Great. I'm super excited. The session's been really great. I'm here to start working on my personal brand, and I've made a ton of money for other people in my life, and ready to get myself out there.
That's awesome.
There you go. And sticking in the Great White North, we've got a guy that's operating in one of your favorite spaces, Gary. He is a serial entrepreneur, but he also owns a winery up there in BC. Doug Bell, say hi to Gary.
Hey, Gary. Great to be here. Thanks so much for dropping in. And this is a second-generation entrepreneur. I took over my family group of companies 14 years ago when I was 22 and have had the fortune of growing that business quite a bit. And now we're just kind of looking at getting into, new businesses, building existing businesses. And we have Canada's largest fruit winery, which I constructed in 2015. So a bit of a different concept, and looking forward to chatting about it.
Awesome, man. Obviously feel very comfortable in that convo.
Great. Another convo you'll probably feel pretty comfortable with is I'm going to draw out the accent a little bit because we're going to go down to Birmingham, Alabama, and say hi to Jennifer Carlson, who owns a slew of restaurants and different brands down in that area. JC, say hi.
Hey, Gary, super happy to be here today. My husband and I own a polished fast casual restaurant. We have 2 locations right now, getting ready to open a third one this spring. And we also have a coffee concept here in Birmingham. We're looking to grow and scale our brand, and that's why we're here.
Awesome. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, and over to Virginia, we've got Garrett Wilhelm. Garrett, say hi to Gary.
What's up, Gary? Thank you so much for this opportunity and time. I know your time is valuable. I own early education schools, childcare is in the area. I saw a gap in the education system in not preparing our kids for the actual future. And knowing that permanent learning is done in infancy to six years old, I decided that was the space that I was going to attack. And so I have 2 brands, the Ohana School and Creative Gardens, and I'm growing a network of schools across the country.
Very cool. I like it a lot. Thank you.
Next up, we have Doug and Brennan, who are in the NFT space. Doug, Brennan, go ahead and say hi to Gary.
Hi, Doug. Hi, Gary. My partner.
Well,
Doug,
it's still nice to say hi to Doug.
Yes, hi, Doug. I've talked to him for a couple hours. Yes. So my partner, Doug, and I, based in Philadelphia, longtime real estate investors, newly hotel owners, boutique hotel owners, and about to dip our toe into the NFT space.
Very cool.
Pleased to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Doug, how are you?
I'm doing great. I think I first met you 10 years ago at Yannick's underground event. So good to be with you again.
Thank you, brother.
As Brennan said, we're getting ready to launch an NFT around women empowerment.
Very cool.
And if you're interested in taking your kids, Gary, up to Connecticut to see some goats, we've got Aaron and Elizabeth Simon, who own one of the awesome company up in Connecticut. I'll let them explain a little bit more to you.
Gary, I would invite you to come see goats any day. You are a true goat in my mind. You might remember me. I did a couple activations with VaynerSports with our barbecue sauce brand back in the day.
I recall.
And now we've created a substantial community, about 30,000 strong. And my wife makes super fancy high-end goat milk soap now. And we love all e-commerce, and we just opened our own retail store here on the farm.
I love it. You also look remarkably cozy, which is putting me in a good mood.
Good.
That's how we do it.
So super premium goat milk soap.
Yeah, I have some here if you want to see it when we get to it.
We actually, I think what makes us really unique too is that you can watch the goats 24/7 on our YouTube channel.
Love.
And you can watch them from conception to birth and beyond.
Love. So smart.
So we teach everybody about like how we breed our goats, the care that goes into our product and everything.
It's really good. I love it. I'm super into these kind of businesses. Okay, awesome.
And then lastly, we have Neha and Brian up in Toronto. They're essentially like a cross between like a James Orsini, because they're both CPAs, but they know a lot about DTC e-commerce, and they run a grocery store up there. So Neha and Brian, say hi.
Hi, Gary. I'm reading your book every night right now. So I love the exercises. Congratulations.
Thank you. Anything stand out so far?
Yeah. Just the exercises, because a lot of the concepts you talk about are really here. And what stood out to me was that. And then the other thing was the story about the woman who started a blueberry jam.
I love it.
With her kid, right? And forgiving herself. Yeah.
I'm really glad you attached to that one. I for everybody who's not reading the book, I did a bunch of scenarios to kind of like, I feel like I do best in trying to make my point in a story. And the one that Neha is referring to really got me. Like, it's such a classic female entrepreneur email that I get. You know, what's great is I'm just listening all the time. So that scenario is the combination of, at this point, maybe 10,000 emails or direct messages from women in detail of like what they go through in that scenario. And I'm really glad you attached to it. Ironically, I just tweeted a piece of data from people doing the exercises or tweeting about the book. It's really very funny, actually. It's based on the first 739 tweets of people talking about what their weaknesses are. Here's the best one. This is like so meta. The one that has the least responses to what their weakness is humility. Which in itself is the meta of the whole thing. Like, only 16 of 739 people said their core weakness is humility, which is the whole punchline of the whole thing. Wow. Anyway, nonetheless, go ahead.
So I'm Neha. I run Switch Grocery, and we're an online retail store, Gary, in Canada.
Yep.
We find food brands faster than traditional grocery stores. So find food brands, bring them to Canadians, ship across Canada. We're a highly social company, and I'll turn it over to my co-founder, Brian.
Brian, how are you?
Hi, Gary. Good. How are you doing?
Well,
I don't have a ton to add beyond what Neha said. As Joe said, Neha and I are also both CPAs, accountants. So there's that.
So the math of the company is strong.
The math of the company is strong, and somehow Neha has also learned the social marketing. I'm not there yet.
Yep.
I only joined full-time 4 months ago, so I haven't got there, but yeah, we're both.
And Neha, Brian, when you talk about you're just finding emerging brands quicker, high quality emerging brands quicker. So you have some competitive advantage of like, whether it's exclusivity or just storytelling, blah, blah, blah.
Exclusivity a lot of the time. Exactly.
You're making deals where whether how much you buy or the fact that you're just expanding to the market, you're getting a 6 or 12 month head start.
A lot of the US brands don't want to deal with Canadian customs, all that. So we deal with all that. And then as a result, they give us, some of them were on like 3rd, 4th year exclusivity because they see no reason to change.
Good for you. Very cool. All right. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Yeah, I'm going to go flip it first over to Inga, and we're going to go with her. So Inga, let me just.
And just to remind everybody, obviously you've been going through the day. This is the time to get very, very narrow and very, very selfish. Like, what is your actual question? Everybody will find ironically value from each other, but please fire away.
Inga, you're up.
Thanks. Hey, Gary. So I I was just talking to Brittany about this, but I'm really kind of struggling to figure out how to separate my day job from like all the other personal branding things that I, want to do.
When you were talking, for some reason, my headphones weren't working super well. I caught the tail end, but I was going to ask you up front, what is the job again? Remind me.
So I work for Tesla in operations, and I haven't really done anything on social because I've been with Tesla for almost 5 years, and we're under very strict NDAs, and
yes,
I couldn't figure out how to talk about.
And why do you want to make personal brand content?
Because I feel like I have a lot to say. I have a lot to give. I have a lot to.
Can you do that without disclosing where you work, or without referencing anything and talking in general?
Totally. It's just that my main platform is on LinkedIn, and that's where I have a bit of a base. I have some followers.
And is the company giving you any headaches for putting out content?
No, not yet. I haven't really, like I said, I went on LinkedIn in 2015, and I knew that I, wanted to build something in the future, and I started building up a network, and I have 30,000 followers, which is not a lot, but it's not nothing.
No, it's a lot.
But I haven't been engaging them, and I feel like that's sort of my place. That's where I feel comfortable.
And I apologize for interrupting, because I just want to get you as much value as possible. Why'd you sign up for this? What is the KPI? What would you like to happen?
I ultimately would like to deliver value to people who struggle with the things that I see people struggle with all the time. And ultimately monetize.
Got it. And how would you like to monetize? At least as a hypothesis right now.
I guess I would like to provide training materials, provide
So is your hope to, so you're in a pickle where you want to build personal brand to monetize, but you'd like to do that while you're still getting paid by Tesla, but you're half pregnant because you can only go so far because you work at Tesla.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So in this scenario, I think there's a couple things to think about. One, you can start building brand on TikTok, believe it or not, without any reference to Tesla or Tesla in your bio. And there's a huge white space for every business on here right now on TikTok, and all of you are going to blow it. I don't know what else to say. That's the word I'm going to use. Organic reach is through the moon. 30 and 40-year-olds are on the platform at scale. You can literally post one video and many more people will buy your fruit wine or buy your ketchup that you're exclusive in Canada to, or sign up for your nursery school. Like, everybody here is grossly underestimating how much they can do on TikTok, because TikTok is now Instagram from 7 years ago, but you're going to wait another 3 years before you treat it that way. Like the little rant I just made right now for 74 seconds is 100% a massive ROI to what you spent on this program if you actually listened to me and do something about it. So for you, you're in a really tough spot, because you could either save money and cut down your cost of living so that you can buy yourself an entire 18 months to not work at Tesla and go all in, or you can go ham on something like TikTok, which is a blessing because there's not a lot of places where you can grow that fast and do these, if you look at what's going on TikTok right now, most of you in the world 24 months ago were like, well, I'm not going to dance on there. So what am I doing here? Right. And if you look carefully, there is some crazy content being produced on the platform right now, ASMR type cooking stuff, just like educational stuff. Like, it's really happening. And
Gary, I shared with her the example of Miss Excel earlier, who's got 1 million followers. She never puts her face on camera. It's just Excel tips.
That's right. So, I think for you really specifically, if you're going to do it while you're employed at Tesla, it's going to be TikTok. The other option is to stop spending money for 2 years on anything but food and shelter so that you can save it and you can then give yourself 2 years to then like, right? Because that's the other, and by the way, you might have won the lotto or made great investments and you can do that now, but you've got to recognize that you can't change reality. And the reality is, you know this, you're playing this weird game where like, if you get successful at it, then they're going to see it. And that's going to be the problem.
Yeah.
You're just caught in this like vicious game.
Yeah. And I guess part of the problem is that I actually like really love my job, and I love my team, and I am in complete position to quit my job. I never have to work again.
Okay. So then understood. So that, 5 years of Tesla is a good move. I think, there's a left field one. You might want to really go inside yourself and find out so for example, for me, right? I'm an entrepreneur, but boy, do I have a lot of guidance counselor, reverend, psychologist. You might be able to scratch your emotional itch by helping people, not in the subject matter of business and like ops.
Well, my whole other thing is like around personal finance, and it's not something I do at all for my work, but I'm really good at it. I coach.
So that gets really interesting to me, because then you can have your cake and eat it too.
Okay, so that's what I need to do. I just need to go.
And I would do it on TikTok hard, because A, it will work. B, the quicker you can help the youngsters that stumble on it, the bigger
That's the thing. People, especially women, have like no clue and they get left behind. Good news. And I'm pissed about it.
I always hear this, especially women, especially minorities. I always say this to my good friends. I'm like, the amount of white men that have no idea how to manage their fucking money is extraordinary. So let's not like kid ourselves. Like the reason is, from 0 to 18, back to our good friend Garrett here, the world is broken. The education system of the world is broken. How the fuck did I go through 18 years of school and not learn anything about basic money management?
Yeah, brutal. Absolutely.
I think you should go ham on Instagram, on TikTok, all of them, but TikTok specifically on this subject matter will dominate. And there's a lot of people out there on it, but I have a funny feeling you could do well just by spending a few seconds even with you.
Amazing. Thank you so much. That was really helpful.
It will work. Yeah.
So we're going to go over
three times a day to the best of your ability. 3 posts a day to the best of your ability. The other thing that people will do wrong with what I just said is they'll post once every 3 days. That's like doing a push-up and thinking you're doing good health and wellness.
Yeah. Yeah. I got to get out of my own head. It's my problem.
The good news with TikTok is it's completely based on interest. So you can post something that gets 14 views and the next one might get 47,000. So because you're succumbing to the algorithm, get out of your own head. Like, don't worry about anything, literally, besides making it. You're not going to be right. You're not going to be right anyway. Like, you don't have enough experience to be right of what's going to work. So you almost have to go through, almost think of it this way: 500 posts before you're allowed to think what's going to work.
Okay, that's helpful.
And back to his point again, other things that a lot of you might be thinking through. You don't like being on camera because you feel self-conscious. You don't like how your voice sounds. You don't like you can hack around everything.
Okay. I love it.
Like, a lot of people who follow me, they think they have to be so high energy. I'm like, no, you have to be yourself. Everybody, like, the 15 years on the internet is very clear. All versions work. Pretty, not pretty, high energy, low energy, monotone, high pitch, like all of it works. It comes down to, do you know what you're talking about? And do you know the platform that you're producing on? So what you need to do is now go consume a ton of TikTok information content to then get a sense.
Okay, I'm doing it. Thanks, Gary.
You got it.
All right, Doug Bell, you are up, sir.
I like the CPA data real quick in the chat. The math was run. Go ahead.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Gary. Just a bit of a preamble for you. So Northern Lights Winery is my brand. We're Canada's largest fruit winery, started about 6 years ago. Family group of companies. And we're a super niche brand in that we obviously are making wines from things other than grapes. So cranberry, strawberry, rhubarb, blueberry, you name it, blackberry, all that kind of stuff. And because we're in such a niche market, there's a lot of education, but we're not trying to sell to people who don't want to be sold to. We really want to kind of focus and find our consumers. Within our area, we've been extremely successful because we have built this really nice community of people within our region that really kind of know us and love us. But as we're getting further and further away, it's kind of harder to connect with people in that same manner. So we're not able to kind of grow as fast as we get further away from our home base.
Of course, they're very different businesses. One's a local business, one's a scaled brand play.
That's right. So, I mean, we're kind of in an interesting place because we're struggling with the need to create that community and brand awareness, with also our desire to grow, to become one of the more well-known brands and really can create experiences for people across the country. So in that, we're always getting this push and pull of how much time do we spend branding and how much time do we spend on sales, and how do we kind of balance that? So that's kind of my first question.
Yeah,
anyways,
let's start with that. Do that. Well, are push and pull with whom? You yourself in the mirror?
No, with us and ourselves. Yeah, I mean, with our sales team and with ourselves, right? In terms
I think you can really run the gamut of 80-20 in either direction, depending on what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, what we want to accomplish, we want to create more experiences with people, and we want them to connect with us.
No, I understand that. I'm sorry, that's the micro. I'm going macro. Yeah. Are you planning on selling the business?
No, not anytime soon.
Good news. Then you have no problem. I mean this. I'm going to break this down for you. I understand everything you're saying. You're just talking about pacing now.
Yeah,
right.
Totally.
So the answer is both can work. It just, honestly, I think it comes down to what you like more. If it's second gen and you're thinking like not anytime soon, and this is where I need real answers. If you're like, no, Gary, actually I'm second gen and I'm the guy who I want to sell it to a PE firm in 6 years. Well, that's different. If you're telling me 21 years, well, that's different. So that's where the answer to your question comes from, the North Star. It's why, James, you start, where's James? There he is. James comes in, knows exactly what he's doing in ad land. And because I don't, even at this point, I don't over communicate everything running through my mind. I was doing things very differently, not because I was right or wrong, or James was right or wrong when he was my COO. It's just that there are not many agencies on earth that are being built to be built in perpetuity. So my appetite to not make any profit is not that's not normal. Almost every agency of any size is a publicly traded company. They have to make numbers every 90 days, let alone every year. So all my decisions were foreign and for James up front, and then he got accustomed to it. And his feedback and his vision were things that I had to factor into. Hey, this is his framework. That's where I'm going with you and everybody else right now. Most of the decisions all of you have to make is, what are you actually up to? Like, if you tell me you're trying to sell the company in 3 years, I'm going to give you very different advice if you're trying to sustain it in perpetuity, and how much you care about money versus loving it. That's the other thing.
I really don't want to sell it. I don't really want to sell in the short term. Of course, never know what it's going to be like in 10 years. I would say 20 years is a longer time frame, but we're kind of at a decision point.
Is 10 a fair one?
Yeah, you never know what'll happen in 10 years. So I definitely don't want to be in a place where I need another 10.
Yeah. Look, I think here's what I would say. You don't have as big of a local base as you think. Everybody makes that mistake. Everyone's like, man, we've got this squeezed. The community loves us, and now we're going to go to Toronto. You never have as much local business as you think. It's number one rule of a business like this, for sure. So if that's exciting for you, right? Because you're like, shit, we really know how to do this. We got this model down. You can go ham and quadruple down on it. If it's not, because you got youthful, big ambition, and conquering Montreal sounds more fun, well, then you can just do that, but it won't be as financially viable as quickly.
Right. So we can grow, and we just have to kind of suck it up and make sure it's, we're going to keep the lights on. But
yeah, that's what I think. Mm-hmm. I'm a huge fan of, if you can live for all of you, live as humbly as possible for as long as possible, because that means your business is getting more of the money.
I've got a second question really quick if possible.
Yep.
I just want to talk a little bit about strategically. I really feel like the winery game is very traditional and there's a lot of history and legacy behind it. And
yep.
That's something that we aren't really about all of that. We want to be kind of a new player with new ambitions and bring it down to earth a little bit for the average person who maybe is, they're interested in wine, but they feel intimidated by it. We want to kind of open up and introduce new people to wine. Yep. So like, how do we, everyone seems like in a place, especially in Canada, that all the legacy players are doing the exact same thing. They're working sales funnels. They've got general content. It's not really personalized, and it talks about kind of the prestige of wine. But how do we, like, what things can we do to kind of change that game and that narrative? I mean, obviously our content, but
no, that's it. Yeah. Like, this is where everybody makes the same move, right? Like, obviously our content, but what else, Gary? No, the content. Like, if you make content that shows people pairing blueberry wine with pancakes and you have a good time with it, people here might be interested in it in a world where they're not interested in it at all. The reason Wine Library TV was so game-changing in the industry was I did it differently. It wasn't about arbing YouTube ads. It wasn't about anything other than I talked about wine differently. And you've got fruit wine, like you should be targeting, like your content should be targeting, like, do you not like wine? Good news, we made a wine you'll like. Like, you have a whole different game going on. You should be making content for everybody but people that are into wine. Like, totally. like your content needs to be about interest graph around hunting and hockey and, sledding, and do you like hot chocolate? Well, then you'll like this. Like, you have so much more freedom than most people. But it's only about the content. There is nothing else on earth. The only thing that matters is the communication, which is the content. Of course, there's the distribution of the content. But if you don't start with the content, I can get everybody in Canada to see your video. If it's boring as shit or not interesting, it lost.
So should I spend more time on organic in that realm, like the TikTok and stuff like that? Or
TikTok is a dream come true. It's been years since we've had this.
Yeah, and trying to do things, maybe not stay away from paid media, but make sure that the paid media's got a better return, and then the organic is.
But you know this, iOS 14.5, like, there's a lot of paid media issues now for DTC.
Totally.
This is time to lean into creative and brand. TikTok's heaven. And everyone's lollygagging it. If you're here, you're aware of me, and I've been very consistent about this, and you're all underperforming on TikTok, and you know it. It's like, how many times are we going to do this all together? Right? Like it's the same game, and every time it comes around, like, I put out content, and you're like, damn, I wish I found Gary when Instagram was good. And then TikTok comes and you're not doing it. That.
Cool. That's awesome.
Cool. Thank you, brother.
Hey, brother. All right. We are going to move over to Jennifer down in Alabama. Let me pull you up, Jennifer. Here we are. Hey, JC.
Hey, thanks for your time, Gary. I really appreciate it. As a bit of background, my husband and I opened Real and Rosemary. It's a polished, fast casual concept in Birmingham in 2016. It was an immediate success. We did really well with it. In 2018, we opened a coffee shop called Caveat Coffee. It was also a success. Later that year, we opened a second location of Real and Rosemary. It opened slow. Within about 6 weeks, our investors decided the restaurant wasn't going to make it, which made it really difficult to operate, and scrambled around. All of 2019, we retooled everything below the sales line. I had a 1-year-old, and I would take her for a stroller walk every day and listen to your podcast. And you do wonderful social media, but also I really appreciate the operational advice that you gave, because that really helped us navigate.
Thank you.
When COVID hit in 2020, everything clicked and came into focus for us. My husband and I are both what I would consider wartime generals, and it was great because we had already done all the work on the brand. We had the mousetrap built, so we could really just focus on building the brand through COVID. We opened a second unit in Birmingham. We just hit a year on that one. As of this week, we own the company 100%. All our vendors are paid. We have a cash flow positive business, and I'm forever grateful for helping us get there. I'm getting ready in a couple of weeks to announce that we're going to open a third location in Birmingham, which is really exciting for us. And we want to continue. I completely agree with what you said. We don't own enough of the local market. I'm sure it's impossible to, but we want to do more of that. And then, no pun intended, we have really big appetites, and we want to continue to grow the brand across the South, across the Southeast. Not ready to sell it anytime soon, but maybe within the next 5 to 7 years, if that opportunity presents itself. But we're building a brand that we don't have to sell.
I understand. So what do you want to narrow in on? Because that's a great context.
One of my questions to you is, I've listened to a lot of your content, but I haven't heard you talk a lot about partners. When and how do you decide to bring on a partner, operationally or financially? When is that appropriate versus going it alone?
Never, if you can help it.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. And
that's been my experience.
Yeah. And it goes,
and I've had some good ones, but
it goes back to like what makes you happy.
Yeah.
I mean, I have an offer for one of the biggest VC firms in the world to buy 10% of VeeFriends. It has my brother on the ground in excitement, and I'm not even returning the email to set up the meeting.
Right.
And it would be a game changer for me. Think about the level I'm playing at, and it would be a game changer for me. So we're talking real economics. And I had a meeting with my accountant today, like planning for next year and taxes and everything. And he was flabbergasted that I haven't even reached back out in the last 30 days. It's because I kind of almost had my own realization. It's the advice I'm giving you now, which is like, I don't like it. James knows my deal with Steve Ross, and I only did that because AJ was at a point in his life where the money mattered to set up his life, and I didn't want to do it. I didn't. But like, I'm sure when James looked under the hood, it's so egregiously bad for Stephen Ross. Like, they have no rights. Like, I could start a new agency by changing all the names of the company. Like, it's crazy the deal they made. That was the only reason I've even had a partner, other than like family. Like, it's not fun.
Right. That's really helpful.
But in your business model, if you want to take in PE money or things of that nature to expand it, make it, if you want to sell it, if things like there are.
I want to go with speed. I really like the growth and development. That's what I've done.
The problem is that's why I hate speed so much.
I know.
Speed comes with compromise.
Yes.
You're going to speed yourself into money that has control.
And that's why we've tried to be patient, and we have it ourselves now. And so tagging off of that.
The other thing, Jen, on that point, something you've heard a lot from me, I wish you knew how young you were.
Yeah, for sure.
No, before, yeah, for sure. Like in 17 years, you still have like 35 years. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you can contextualize time.
Yeah. I agree. The other thing,
there's a company called ClearBank.
Okay.
So obviously the Canadians shook their heads, right? Like there's some really new funding mechanisms where you don't have to give up control that you might want to look into, right? There's also people that just want to lend money and make interest.
Okay.
Like James is right there, like the good old fashioned credit line and the good old fashioned, like we don't even talk about getting bank loans anymore that you pay off so you don't have to give up we don't even talk about that. Remember, everybody grew up with that concept. So there's a lot of other things. You can see what's going on in the chat right now. So keep that in mind as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Kind of piggybacking off of that, we, I do believe we've tried to be really patient with the restaurant and grow it the right way. And I think it does need more time as we grow. We're trying to do it the right way, but we have big brains and big motors, and we're trying to decide how or when we should add a business to keep us interested, so to speak, versus just focusing on the one. And particularly because we have a location-based business, kind of a community business. And I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of, e-commerce and the opportunities that are really in front right now. We are in Birmingham, but it's a big world, and just trying to balance those.
I'll give you one that might work for you. And it could actually work for Doug. And Doug, thank you for the empathy in the background. Both of you could go into products that are very viable for the things that, Brian Nehunt know, like for example, with Doug's business, he should, in my opinion, stand up his most signature fruit wine and then make a fruit jam complement product within the brand so he can ship that nationally and globally.
Yeah.
You should do the same thing. Like for example, I've actually am starting a restaurant group here in New York, right? And one of the things I'm talking to the guys about, I'm like, look, I'm really supporting two friends, but now that they've brought me a little bit more in than just money, I'm like, look, I'm not interested in this. But if you say that we're going to start a restaurant that has a signature mustard, that everyone's going to love the fucking mustard, like everyone's focused on the mustard, that I can build a 300 million direct consumer mustard brand, now I'm really interested. So I think one of the things you can think about is, could you create a signature condiment or dish in your place that you strictly stood up the concept of this unique pepper just to create a DTC pepper business?
I would like to do that. I think I'm going to work on that for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
That could scratch your big ambition, creativity muscle, right? You create something that lives within your restaurant that then can be spun out to be a global DTC CPG brand.
I just wanted to say, when you started the VCR Group, I reached out to David Rodowitz, who's kind enough to give me some of his time, and he was amazing and gave me some great ideas for the business. It was also encouraging seeing you going into the restaurant business after COVID in the last year or two.
Oh, I love it. I love it. When I was saying to them, I'm not interested, it wasn't because I'm not interested. It's just that they're such experts, my three partners. I'm like, you don't need me to run a restaurant. You guys have done this for 74 fucking years. I'll bring innovation. And here's an innovation. Let's create an olive oil that we pour for people the second they sit down with incredible bread. And let's build up the reputation of the olive oil so that we can then sell $100 million a year in olive oil direct to consumer. Right? Like the level of focus to an olive oil that's just on the table, that's not the normal move for a restaurant. But for me, that's the innovation.
Right. I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Cheers. Yep. Let's keep it going.
All right. We're going to go over to Garrett Wilhelm down in Virginia. Here we go, Garrett.
Yeah. And again, super thankful for your time, Gary. I've been following your content for quite a while and can attribute some success to that. So thank you so much. I'm extremely grateful. My question is very specific. It's around people, and it's around scalability, right? So my business is at about 1.2 million a year. And we're ready to kind of move forward and grow. The challenging thing is the cost of humans has gone up. And so for us, we're kind of playing around with this idea of bringing people up through the company comparatively to, paying the higher cost for more skilled people.
Yeah, I would spend all my energy on building an incubator internally to create people and retain people.
Yeah, that's what we think about a lot. I think the challenging thing around that is for me, is that human to human training, or is it something like a Trainual or something?
It's human to human.
Human to human.
You know why? The part you're going to need is the nuanced emotional intelligence part and like your culture.
That's exactly right. I was just going to say, how do you scale a feeling, right?
You scale it through dictatorship.
Like just being that ambassador of the brand to
James and Joe know what doesn't fly in my world.
Got it.
Which so both of them have spent enough time prior to me knowing there are people that are talented that they would never consider hiring because they know if I sniffed out their behavior, which was completely appropriate in places they used to work, that there's no shot that person's going to succeed because I'm going to smoke them out if they don't.
Got it. So you start with kind of your Mount Rushmore of people in leadership, put your value into that, and then allow that to kind of trickle down, if you will.
And then what you have to be is never let it be compromised.
Right.
So that's exactly right, comma, as you start to scale, I'll give you an example. Carol is adored by every parent, and people are signing up to your school because of Carol, because she's insane with parents and kids. But Carol makes Ricky and Susan and Sally miserable because she's audacious and braggadocious and snarky to them because they're not Carol. You have to fire Carol.
Yeah.
Do you know how hard that is for most businesses, the scenario I just told you?
I mean, it's a very hard thing, right? Because they bring in a lot of I see your point exactly.
What I do that is highly unusual that I'm trying to teach the business world to do is to not compromise on culture over finance. And that's incredibly foreign because people have to keep the lights on. I promise you right now, for everybody here who has employees, the biggest vulnerability in your entire company is your weakest cultural employee.
So then spending time on finding that person or people and
creating them is the best way. You get a raw asset at 23, you have a better chance in 25 months making them the 25-year-old version. Retraining is hard.
That's what I'm finding. I come with
and you're also coming and trying to hire people from a system you don't like.
Exactly.
I'm aware.
No. Yeah. So
you can't achieve what you want. That's right. You can't achieve what you want.
Yeah.
Gary, you're witnessing it firsthand. We've got Julia Balick here, straight out of school. She's a good one. She's a keeper. We're growing her from the ground up.
I get it. And we have a better chance with Julia than if she was you, because you came in with a lot of baggage, Joe. And by the way, I'm making a joke, but like Joe's like the greatest. And what you don't realize is some of the teachers you're hiring, they're wonderful. They don't even realize that they're doing it. I'll give you Joe's. It's a lot easier if I get Julia from the beginning to be like, we're going to be VaynerX centric, not client centric. We do it our way. Joe has 7, 8, 12, 15 years of doing client services anywhere else in the world. He subconsciously doesn't realize that he's letting the client seep in the dictation, which ultimately becomes the reason we lose them. Yeah, it's wild in my business. In my business, the number one reason we lose is because we let the client get what they want in the short term, and then they fire us for it. I'd rather not, because they stink.
Yeah.
And they tell you to do stink shit. Yeah. And at first they love it because you're doing what they feel comfortable with, but then they fire you because it's not doing well. And they don't even know how to score it.
Amen. Yeah.
So that's what you're dealing with. You're trying to hire teachers who already conform to the education system, which has remarkable flaws against your hypothesis.
Yep. And it's unlearning people rather than teaching people, which is what I'm great.
And unlearning is impossibly hard, and teaching is wildly easy if you get them in the right state.
Awesome.
That's it, my man.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm excited for you. It's going to work.
Thank you.
Because here's what it is, Garrett. If you now execute on what I just felt from you in response, it becomes a religion. So you waste no time. You just don't hire from there. That's it. That's it.
I love it. Shifting focus, younger.
Shifting focus. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Love it.
Awesome.
All right. Thanks, Garrett. Next, we're going to bring on Brennan and Doug, who want to talk about Guild of Women and NFTs.
Thank you. Hi. So I'm going to, as concisely as possible, share a bit of the history, and I'm going to hand it to Doug, who's going to bring us into the future. So as mentioned, we recently opened a small luxury boutique hotel in Philadelphia. The property is inside a national historic landmark, and the property was deemed a landmark due to deep, deep roots in the women's movement. So founded in 1882, a group of badass women, suffragists, abolitionists. One woman was a founding member of the NAACP. They all gathered here and changed the history of women, across the country and beyond. And while it's very new, less than 3 months old, what we did was we've dedicated each of the rooms to one of these founders or women and told their story, which is largely unknown, through these rooms and suites. And the response has been incredible. Everyone who walks through here is really wowed by it. We, of course, are in love with it ourselves. Our city is now in love with it, which we're so proud of. But we recognize that there are many more women, both as members of the Guild and throughout the world, that really deserve light shining on them as well, which led us into this concept that Doug's going to share of dipping our toes into the NFT space.
I understand.
Right, and essentially it's to tell that story on a grander scale, right? To honor those women as well as give women of today an opportunity.
Doug, how are you going to handle the name, image, and likeness of the women if this is how direct you're going to go with it?
Handle them well. We're not using the actual names in the NFTs. Is that what you're saying?
Got it. Yeah, that's where I thought you were going to go. Got it.
No. So again, we're honoring the actual women, but really what the NFTs is about the women of today, right? That are breaking down doors and glass ceilings. And so, there's a bunch of utility that I can get into, but to me, the connection on the women's movement is not only the charitable donation to the cause that still exists today, right? So some proceeds will go to that. But also the NFTs, essentially each owner would be able to create their story and have that, on the blockchain with their NFT. And so obviously it's a male dominated space. And so our biggest challenge is, how do we
way less than, everyone likes to throw that around. By comparison, Web3 is remarkably more diverse than Web 2 and 1 were. And if you look at the projects, I mean, the female movement of whether it's World of Women or, and I've been very active in it, it's very advanced.
Agreed, it's very advanced. There's also, I think you could see pretty easily the women's projects that you've, tweeted about or whatnot and haven't, right? Kind of two different things in terms of, I think, some of the results, but for sure. So they are there. But I think the thing that we're dealing with is, yes, our audience is women. We also feel we need to incorporate men into that as well. And so that's also part of not only the financial aspect, right? So there'll be income earned from owning the NFT as well. We're also incorporating it with the hotel where you can get some free hotel stays.
What about income earned? Because if you go to income earned, you're going into securities.
So my understanding from the attorneys that we've spoken with, if you do it off the mint and it goes to a separate wallet and it goes to them directly, that's not a security. The other, no?
You're talking to very bad lawyers.
Okay.
Of course it's a security, just because you're setting up a different functionality.
Okay.
Yeah, you should definitely kick into, by the way, on the record, I could be wrong, but fuck, that's not, I've spent a lot of time on this. I would be surprised if that's the case.
Yeah. So look, we come from a finance and capital raising background, so we need to err on the side of caution with everything that we're doing.
That's what I'm worried about, because you also don't need it, right? It's not a trigger that you need. And so I just want you to, again, I could be wrong because it's all so new, but please quadruple check that one, because that's going to hurt your reputation.
Exactly. So I will, and we can move on from that because, like you said,
exactly.
That's not what the project is about, right?
What can I answer? Because I'm following very easily. Go.
Yeah. How do we sell out? Sell out?
Easy. You stand up a Discord. You produce ungodly levels of Twitter content around everything that you just talked about. You have a lot more going for you than most projects.
Yeah.
And you just launch in 4 months instead of 4 weeks. Okay. Everyone's biggest problem of why they're not selling out is everyone's in gold rush mode and they just want to get their project out as quickly as possible. And then they pray, to your point, that I tweet it or somebody that like me does, which is the reverse of building a tangible real business, which is build a real community through the fact that you have this hotel, and I love the story, right? And then I wrote something down. I think you should launch 1,882 tokens, right? Because it sits right into your narrative, right?
Yep.
A little bit less than what you can maximize in, but maybe you do that as the original thing, and then you can build a second one. But like, Doug, I think by you wearing that hoodie and you guys doing this, the thing that's happening right now, brother, in this space is everyone's fucking up because they have no patience to actually spend the 4 to 6 months to actually build a Discord community. If you build one for 4 to 6 months, you'll do quite well. Otherwise, you're leaving it to chance. And back to me being so involved in a lot of female projects, there's like 87,000 being built right now.
Right.
It's insane. Like, I'm getting 15 to 50 texts a day on I'm building a female project because they think that's the advantage. It's just not going to be.
Right. So one question about that. I don't know if you followed Women Rise, like they just launched.
Of course. I hung with them yesterday in Miami.
So I was shocked. I think they've sold like 1,500 so far. I mean, it seems like they've got the Discord, the Twitter. They've been doing it for a while.
Yep. And that's why they're pinging me 450 times a day. And even with Randy Zuckerberg twice yesterday, like, I don't think they built enough. She's lovely. They're lovely. It's a great project. One of the reasons I'm not doing anything about it is I can't support it just because it's female. I can't support everything.
Right. In terms of our focus, so look, the mission has been self-supporting women, right? And so obviously we're talking about that. The other aspect that we're looking to incorporate is a financial literacy component, because one, it's authentic to the history. Like, they set up a trust that's funded women's projects for 140 years. We're also really passionate about financial literacy. And so whether it's an investment vehicle, which maybe it's not, but incorporating that into the message with the self-supporting women, do you feel that could make sense, or do you feel like it's trying to serve two different things?
I think you're looking, I love the way you asked the question directly, and all your behavior matches your question, which is what I love the focus. I think you're looking for the triggers to create success. And the reason you're surprised by Rise is it's not about the literate, like, it's not about the altruism.
Well, right.
It's not. It's about the variables of, like, first of all, 90% of the people in the space buying NFTs are buying it with the thought that they're going to make a profit.
Right.
Right. So you're in a very unique spot where, first of all, I think at any second, the whole thing could have a massive collapse, like internet stocks in 2000.
Yep.
Two, nobody's building meaningful, like everything that worked in May and March and April is dead already. Those were the first mover advantage. That's just not how it works. You know, real estate. Sorry, you didn't buy beachfront property. That's done now. So, now you got to decide if this is going to be Malibu or Schmalibu, because if it's going to be Schmalibu, you're not going to buy the 4th Street off the beach. If it's going to be Malibu, good news. You're going to fucking crush. You have to decide that. And then number two, I think you have to build, this is why I'm in such a good place. You have to build on actual community, which you have none of yet digitally, which is okay. You got to start, you're going to start to. And two, you've got to build on content. Like, you've got to make, and the good news is the game is very well laid out. It is a Twitter and Discord game. Dominate Twitter and Discord for 6 months and then launch your project. That gives you an incredible chance of success. Why is everybody not doing that? Because everybody doesn't know when the whole thing's going to stop. And so they're trying to get out as fast as possible and get as much Ethereum in their wallet as possible.
Yeah. So last thing on that. So on the NFT or the crypto front, like, I'm the one that's driving that, right? We've got amazing women like Brennan, our artist, everyone else is female, but I feel like I'm the one, like, I mean, I can't be the business part. Yeah. I don't know. I have a concern about that, and maybe I should just put that to the side or trying to figure out.
Transparency always works. You got to, just because you're one of the team members, like, boys can help girls.
Right. Okay.
I'm very excited because what I'm hearing is somebody who really knows what's going on in NFT land, but I think it's trapping you into all the wrong things. It's why I'm so pushing against the space right now. You're on it. You're on it. The problem is the on it right now are doing the wrong things, and the whole thing's going to shit. That's why there's going to be a crash. The behavior is way too short term, way too, like, it's not in the depth. We're in the sizzle phase. It's the gold rush. This is 1800, whatever the fuck it was. And everybody on the East Coast is saying, you got to get to LA. Everyone makes money. They're just gold. The problem is it's not going to work out. Like, you've got to do the real stuff. You need to build a community for 6 months and then you'll sell out. Otherwise, you might not. Or you can get lucky and somebody that influences sales does it.
All right. Sounds good.
Awesome.
We'll
I don't think you should, by the way, you should definitely not hide as a team member.
No. I'm not hiding as a team member. I think
you could just because you can speak about NFTs better than Brennan and your artist doesn't mean that that's going to undermine the female nature of the project. The truth is the truth of the truth of what you're doing.
Right. Okay. And on a side note, maybe some way we created an honorary member guild of women for you of your mom. So we'd love to get that into the wild.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Brennan.
Awesome. we're going to bring on the Simons. So, Aaron and Elizabeth, say hi.
Hello,
Hey,
Gary.
Hi, hi.
I don't know where you went on the screen. Oh, there you are. All right, it moves around every time. So when we started, you remember Swanky Sauce with VaynerSports.
I remember.
We started. Oh my gosh, we started that back in 2012, based on your regret is poison kind of thing, and it was just a passion project. We did it.
Awesome.
It's been going. We sell a couple thousand bottles of barbecue sauce a year, nothing crazy.
Yep.
And we started a YouTube channel. Actually, my wife started it, how-to videos about goats. We own a goat farm, right? How to do this, how to do that. And then to make a long story short, I started vlogging the family, everything, 4 kids living on this farm, running the barbecue sauce business. And then we had some stupid idea of going live 24/7. And that's what we do now. We have 2 barns, 4 cameras. It's all ridiculous pretty much, but it's 2 live cams all the time on YouTube. One stays still all the time.
It's really not. I mean, you know this. It wasn't a stupid idea. You've seen other executions of this work, so you were smart. I think it's the furthest thing from a stupid idea. But go ahead.
Yeah, so then the stupid part, well, the part we didn't realize, and that's when we'll get into the question here, is the community that we built and how close we have gotten to them and how close they have gotten to us. Half this stuff you see behind us was sent here from our community.
That's awesome.
So because I'm a DNF student, I'm going to let my wife read the question.
I get it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it really kind of originated back in 2009 when we wanted a source of fresh eggs for our growing family. At the time, we had 2 young boys, and we knew that grocery store food wasn't exactly the healthiest.
What you wanted to put in, yeah.
I love it.
I love it.
And so we started with chickens. Turns out chickens are the gateway livestock animal. And so we had to naturally upgrade, and we got ourselves into goats, mainly because I felt cows were a little too big and to manage around a young family. So we got into goats for the milk, and then my kids started showing them and really creating that bond with their animals. And to your point, we started the YouTube channel so that I could teach kind of how to, or how we do, because it's not, you ask 10 different farmers how they raise their goats, you're going to get 12 different answers. So we started that as sort of my New Year's resolution in 2018. By 2019, kidding season rolling around, it was actually out of convenience that we started to live stream, because it was becoming too hard to have the sleepless with the baby goats being born, documenting, then having to go in and edit all that content. So we just live streamed it, and we would take the camera off the wall for the community, and it was like you're having a bird.
I totally get it, as you know.
Yeah. So fast forward, during one of our Q&As that we were doing, and our community actually was asking us, well, what can we buy that we can have a piece of your farm?
Makes sense.
And so I had dabbled in some lotion, and a month or 2 later, we were taking hundreds of pre-orders and having to upgrade our manufacturing facility. And then in 2020, he got laid off from his day job, but we had a foundation, and all we were able to do, 2018, we had a gross income of 30,000. It was really just a hobby that helped pay for the hay bill. This year, we're looking to gross over 250,000.
That's awesome.
And we have, like I said, we really go into the quality of our products is what our brand is about. People have learned to expect a certain quality, a certain look, and it's there. So we
it's at the size and scale where it can be extreme quality.
Exactly. So I guess a couple of our questions, because our quality is what it is, and I'm not willing to budge on our quality. I have a hard time delegating to other people, and we don't have any real employees yet. We have some friends and family that help us, but to take some stuff off of my plate and off of his plate, we kind of delegate some of these projects that I have a hard time, honestly, delegating. And it's because when I get the quality of work back, I'm like, I should have just done this myself. So on a scalability issue, as we're growing, how do I continue to ensure that the quality is there, but be able to delegate and
by letting the person that should be judging it judge it?
So let the customer judge it?
Yes, those people.
Yeah.
Yeah, the biggest mistake.
We don't lose those customers if the job
because
messed up.
because you may lose 17 customers when that batch went wrong, but then you'll adjust. But at this point, you're going nowhere.
Right.
This is how I took my dad's business from 3 to 65 million. He wanted to do everything. I said, let the customer decide. This is deja vu for me.
Yeah.
You know what you learn?
Who not to let do it again.
No, that's again you're thinking too much defense.
Yeah.
You're so focused on that part. That part's easy. To your point, you'll find out in 1 second about that. You're compromising on ego, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Ego's hurting you. I make this better. And it's coming from a good place. It's, sometimes ego's a bad word, but like, it's not that bad, but it is what's happening here.
Yeah.
I have a news alert for you. Many people on earth can do it too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. Find them.
Well, and that leads me to my next question. Because we are 18 months into this real, like putting fuel on a fire. And we're sitting at 250 gross sales. But we haven't actually paid ourselves yet.
Yep.
So how do we, with reinvesting constantly back into the business to grow at the speed that we're growing at, we can't afford an employee. We just haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of ways to think about this. One, are you selling it for enough margin? This is where
I believe so. Yeah. Our soaps were selling at about an 86% margin.
What's wrong with 300%?
That would put us,
well, so we're already for goat milk soap, industry standard is, even on the high end is about $1.50 an ounce.
Okay.
And I believe we're already you would know the numbers.
Oh, we're up in the $2 an ounce range.
And same goes for our goat milk lotion.
But to Gary's point, and I'm just going to show because it's easier, we've launched very simple soap, right? $7 a bar. And then to my wife's point, we're up in the $15 a bar soap when you get into the fancy, holiday stuff, and $15 for a bar of soap in the soap world is high, but we look at it as artwork that happens to be in soap. Mm-hmm. And to be honest, we sell out of a lot of it. I just don't think 20 can be justified. I don't
15
know.
Couldn't be justified if you were talking about it at 12.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we were at 12, and we went to 15.
And we just did a $5 increase per bottle of lotion. We were at 15, now we're at 20. And I mean, you talk about the big guys with the Beekman lotions, price per ounce, we're even higher than they are.
Right.
But we're still selling out.
Yeah, I mean, you've not figured out your price as like upside, right? You're not going to be able to hire somebody if you're not making enough margin against how you're reinvesting back in. You're going to have to figure this out.
Yeah.
So I don't think based on the margin, I don't think that's it, because where all the money's going is actually not into the soap and the lotion. It's going into other products behind the brand, like the custom stuffed animal of one of our goats. Our audience is excited about this. They love it, but it's stuck in a shipping container in LA based on the current COVID. That's where the money went.
Yeah, that's just small business mismanagement of cash flow. Like you should have pre-sold the toy.
Yeah.
And we were told to. We were told to, and we were told not to. Because
you were totally not right though, because think about what's happening. Like think about this conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the reality is that when you're in a cash flow crunch, outlaying money is always a bad idea.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And what you could have done is created perceived value. How much are you selling the stuffed animal for?
$40.
That's going to go for 40.
Great. So you could have sold it for 36 on pre-sale and $44.99 when it got here, which would have created urgency and savings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that just comes down to a logistic issue. We tried a pre-sale once before and Shopify was a mess. And we were like, oh my gosh, no pre-sales anymore. So that just might
that's
be
an
our-
ideological mistake. Like maybe
Yeah.
there's been technology advancements. Maybe there's a new Shopify plugin that's,
There might
you know, like you made an ideological point of view.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what you've done is you've created a financial cash flow crunch, which is the number one rule of your business. And the number 2 and 3 rule is manage your cash flow when you're this small.
Right. Yeah. Which if we managed it or pre-sold those, or we even have a book we just launched that happened to show up about a week before we thought it was going to. So we
what does that
launched
mean?
it. What's that?
What, is that bad or?
No, that was good.
No, it was great because it then opened up, more
cash
sales,
flow.
more cash
Yeah,
flow.
you guys basically need to do 80% of the thing that's working.
Yeah.
Maximize the fuck out of it. It sounds like you just did with raising your prices.
Yep.
80% of your energy needs to go there. And you guys are such entrepreneurs and creatives that you're getting caught up in the other stuff, which is amazing. But when you do that stuff, max 30% of your energy, my preference, 20% of your energy. Every time you do a fucking book or a stuffed animal or whatever the fuck else you're going to come up with in a week, you always pre-sell it.
Okay.
Because you have a rabid community that trusts you.
Right. So we have other products we want to launch, to your point.
Good. Good news. All this creative entrepreneurial juice you have from DNF student DNA, you can launch them all, but I want you to pre-sell every one of them.
Should I Kickstarter them?
No.
Because we thought of that too. No,
Nope.
just.
That's just a tactical slight difference. That doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean anything. All right.
No.
So one of the
you need to, it sounds like you need to Google if there's a better plugin for pre-sales on Shopify.
I do. And you know what? And to your point, it was short term. We needed that cash. We didn't.
You made a strategic decision to make something, and you needed this strategy right before it to make that thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It was
So one
you
of the
have
things
to. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. So we do subscription-based products as well, and one of those is actually a subscription-based to our live chat. So we moved away from a volunteer moderator chat on our live streams and moved towards a membership platform that YouTube provides, where only people who are subscribers and pay us a monthly fee.
Anybody can watch. It's free.
Anybody
can log in and watch.
I got it.
Yeah.
Right. What would you suggest to grow that membership on our channels?
Nothing.
And just keep doing what we're doing.
It's a very aggressive ask.
Yeah.
It is.
And and we said it only at $1.99, but to your point, it's still
Nothing.
like, why am I going to pay to chat?
Yeah.
Yeah. And the only reason we did that is because the trolls and because we're live 24/7, we can't watch it 24/7. And people were coming in talking.
I understand.
It just got ugly.
I understand, but it's hurting you more than you think.
Yeah. No. Yeah. From a financial side, it's hurting, but
no, from a brand perception, it seems like you're trying to monetize too much on your audience. I promise. That's a very aggressive ask.
Yeah. Yeah.
I really believe that.
Okay.
It works. Okay. It can work, but you want to think that through.
Yeah.
Yeah. What it did help us with, though, was save the continuity of the environment.
I understand that.
I get it. It was definitely a big
you could also ban people.
Oh,
we have about 4,000 banned already.
Oh yeah.
You also, if you have that many banned, I'm also curious what you ban people for.
Yeah. Well, we had a distrust in our moderators is what happened. So we had to, instead of just getting rid of one, we had to get rid of them all and then create a new model. And that's what we did. We actually went dark for 48 hours and got hate mail because we shut them down. To try to solve all this.
Yeah, I think I understand. Again, I think that business is about strategy.
Yeah.
You know, whatever drama is going on with your mods, I love the idea of cleaning the deck, but you could also build back. I mean, now that you have paid people, you've got perfect people to decide to be the mods.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, like so.
Yeah.
We actually put that idea out there that like we might go back to moderators. We might go.
I think you should. I don't like for the wholesomeness of what you're doing. The $1.99 to talk thing is an egregious ask, I think.
Yeah.
I get the value of the cleanup, but that you do with mods.
Yeah. So I'll shift gears while you look at a different question. Back to your TikTok. please don't look at mine.
I won't.
Yeah, well, it's that push-up thing. I do it every other day or every once in a while, but really I'm trying to do the document, don't create model on TikTok, and it doesn't seem to be working.
Good, do something else.
Okay. So
it's the most important thing that you could focus. Your thing could go banana shit on TikTok.
Yeah, we get like 100 views on all of them, and then one pops at 40,000, and then 100. Okay.
How many posts a day? One every 3 days?
That's not even. It's like it's
once
like
every
3 or 4 a week.
Yeah. 3 a day.
Got it.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
All right. I don't want to run out of time. I know we got 1 or 2 more. Go ahead, Joe.
Thank you.
And I love the conversations going on. Jennifer, thank you so much for offering to help with cash flow for some of our lovely 40s customers. I'm sure some of these folks will take you up on it, particularly Neha, who's very active in the community right now. Neha and Brian, you're the last folks on with Garyvee today, so we're going to go out with a bang.
Okay, great, thanks. I'll do a quick intro and then throw it to Neha for the question. Gary, as we said, online retail, D2C, specialty food, highly curated. So we're not the 5,000 SKU, hope you find something you like. We're 300 to 400 SKUs. The only things we sell are what lasts in our team's kitchen. If they don't like it, doesn't last in our kitchen, well, we don't want to sell it. And yeah, I think that's a quick intro. So I'll throw it to Neha.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So, Gary, we've relied on the brands that we carry to build our own brand.
I get it.
So what we're now looking to do is, it's like wine library, right? Like you carry wines, but you made empathy later. So we're kind of at this juncture where how do we build our own brand as a retail store?
The brand or actual brands like private labels, but maybe not named directly after your retail store, but other brands.
That's one way to do it, because 4 days ago you did tell another retailer to do this, but I have 5 quick ideas. I'm just going to pitch them to you really fast.
Yep.
1, size does matter. So we're the retailer that's figured out how to ship in the smallest fucking box possible, like really, really small. 2, podcast, where we interview suppliers, people in the CPG about the one biggest mistake they made building a food brand.
Why do you want to do that as the creative? Because that's a B2B show.
It is.
So you're using that to acquire more products for your store?
Absolutely.
Okay, keep going.
And our exclusive. 3.
Is that a need? You know, it doesn't sound like the biggest need of the organization is more products, right? Because given all the headache,
sometimes a challenge.
Right, you have such a moat with how much of a pain in the ass it is to get into Canada, that I feel like you're building another moat that takes a lot of effort, the podcast, on something you already have a moat for. And you only have so much energy and time and resources.
Yeah.
Which is why we haven't done it yet. We've talked about it for 6 months.
Got it. Keep going.
But
understood.
We're a team of 5, and yeah.
My favorite number.
Storytelling the challenges of the food industry on TikTok. So some of our suppliers are just shutting down, like small food brands. They just can't compete. Costco's private labeling them, or just building their own, product, or knocking off a jam, or whatever the case is.
Well, what does that have to do with you, though?
It does, because it is what we do is all of the brands we carry are small to mid-sized brands who are bypassing the traditional broker distributor channel.
I know
but
that.
But the end customer doesn't understand that, right? So
understand
I think
what?
They don't understand the trajectory of like how difficult it is for a small to mid-sized food brand to survive.
They don't care. The fuck would a customer care about that for? Don't try to sell food on altruism.
I don't think it's altruism. I think it's something that's interesting, which is like
really not.
But what if I do a TikTok, like basically presenting to a large retailer as a brand and how difficult it is?
The worst. Terrible.
So interesting that you're saying that.
Nobody gives a shit about what you just said. People care about if the jam looks good when you put it on the bagel, and then they just buy the jam. You're too nerdy right now.
Okay.
You're making shit that you find interesting and I find
I
interesting.
do. I
know you do. I'm watching you do it in real time right now.
I do.
That's why I'm giving you the answer. I'm here to help you. You spent money today. I'm going to make you money. Like, you're making content that nobody gives a fuck about.
Okay.
You need to make content like you, the supermarket, like Wine Library. Forget about empathy. Wine Library exploded because I did things to build Wine Library, which then gave me customers, which then gave me leverage for my suppliers. You need to become you've been relying on the exclusivity and they've been driving your business. You need to be the driver of your business. Thus, you have to make content that's interesting to consumers. Like, you need to make viral peanut butter content for the brand you decided to sell peanut butter for.
But that's still focusing on the brand, right? So, okay. Well,
yes, but you're the platform that's being done on, though. Like, sure, I might be like, this peanut butter is super gooey, and then I do something that makes 800,000 people watch it, but it's still being delivered from your company. Like Whole Foods markets, like Ulta markets, Sephora markets, like Costco, you have to become the marketer, and you have to be consumer marketing using your products that you're selling. And yes, sure, you can integrate your own private labels over time, but you still need to make content because what that's going to do is give you double leverage. You're going to make product that sells better, but even better than that, now you're providing, demand for brands, which is going to bring more brands to you. Right now, you're a value prop from a logistics standpoint, but they're driving your business.
Okay. A TV show where we taste test our products.
I like it. Do it on TikTok first.
TikTok first. Okay.
I mean, especially you, because you have charisma, like literally you tasting shit and just talking.
Yeah. TikTok. We watched Wine Library episode 1 last night.
Very different than episode 86.
And do
you know what that is, by the way? And why I know those two numbers?
Yeah.
I was scared to lose my clients.
Yeah.
The first 86 episodes, people forget Wine Library was already a huge business before Wine Library TV. So I realized all those serious people that lived in Short Hills and Livingston and worked on Wall Street and bankers, that if I was fully me, that I was going to lose them. So I was scared, but then the show was doing so well. And I was like, man, I'm not even fucking being myself. And it got to a place where I was like, oh, this is really going to work. So I felt comfortable of like going all in. And so, yeah.
Okay. I love it. I'm really excited about that.
I think you'd be fantastic.
Okay. Thank you.
But
Gary.
Just remember, in between like Gary episode 1 and what Gary is today is where I see you, and just be you. Don't try to be any version of anything. Just be you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. Private label.
Yes.
So you've talked about this a lot, and in the food. So right now our margins are structured. They are what they are.
Yeah, private label is immensely important to you, but I wouldn't do it like Kirkland, where you have like a brand, or I wouldn't do it under your store brand. I would make up brands. That's what did really well for me at Wine Lab. Like whatever. What's your favorite animal?
A monkey.
Good.
Actually, a lion. A lion.
A lion.
Yeah.
What's a category that you think you could do more business in, or something that you don't have great brands with, or somewhere where you're doing business but you don't love your margin?
Condiments.
Like mustard?
Call it barbecue sauce.
Good.
Barbecue sauce.
Make a legendary lion barbecue sauce right away.
So on that, because typically private label for food it's your basic staples, and we've never wanted to do that because I don't want to compete on basic flour.
I think there's tons of like premium, like there's a lot of comp stores to what you do that are in the upper premium level that have plenty of private labels that are like, and what the holy grail is if you stumble into Pay Dirt and like another nice Canadian company, Moose Knuckle, where they created a private label in their own store, and then that became the actual business. That gets real fun. Could you imagine you sell Lion barbecue sauce to Kraft for $48 million? That's what can happen when you're a retailer.
Yeah.
So focus on like a premium, innovate, like
you're doing both, right? You're doing both
with our brands.
That's exactly right.
But create our own. Okay.
But what's nice about that is you get to reverse engineer the white spaces of your retail store. right? So you just said condiments, we'd like to make more margin. That sounds good. There's a new trend and everyone's into honey toast, whatever the fuck that would be. Then now you can make one quickly in that space.
So the follow-up to that, Gary, is fucking money.
Money.
Right? Yeah. So, Brian, you want to take that?
Well, and so this is the challenge. In my other CFO job, I go raise money for startups. Mm-hmm. That's what I do. We haven't done that for our company, mm-hmm. but it's in a product business, like doing a private label, cash flow intensive. Mm-hmm. If you were going to do,
how many active customers do you guys have?
10,000.
10,000.
Somewhere in there.
Nice. Yeah. Look, again, a lot of Canada themes. Like, I think Clearbank is a really interesting model. That's one.
Yeah, we work with them.
Great.
We work with them.
So more, if you can. I don't know how that works. They actually
featured Neha. They featured Neha in their Women Entrepreneur Month.
Love. There's that. Number two, there's raising capital, which we've talked about in different versions, but you might have different feelings per se than Jennifer or me or what have you. So that's number two. Number three is, like we talked about with our friends in the Connecticut goat life, like I'm a humongous believer in pre-sale. It works. When you have trust, it's like cashing in on trust. You've done all the right things. Everybody here is honorable, good people, delivering, trying hard, right? Like that's trust. Trust can be monetized in pre-sale. You'll deliver, and then you'll have more trust. My dad didn't have cash flow for shit. Pre-sale, selling wine futures saved my dad's business.
Which is why we were just thinking yesterday, we were like the 3 million to 60 for Wine Library. It's hard to scale that without any debt and just solely out of the profits of the company, right?
Yeah, it's why I went on to become Garyvee. Like I ended up being like, what I didn't know at the time was like, I was going to be an all-time good businessman. Yeah. You want to hear something scarier? Wine Library did 3.8 million on 10% gross profit.
Oh.
Yeah, you want some real CFO talk? Here we go. 3.8. 380,000 in sales before your expenses.
Oh.
And I grew that from 3.8 to 65 in 7 years with no credit line. Like I'm underrated. Because I know, you know why I'm underrated? Because I never go all the way there because I don't want to make it seem like my dad, like it's kind of like a family thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, right. But 3.8, 10% gross profit, no credit line.
Yeah, I've worked with a lot of companies who have those margins and they shove a ton of debt into the company to fund the growth.
Zero.
So that's impressive.
But I did it through all the advice I'm giving now, right? Creating high margin items, pre-selling. I also, look, I say it, but like I had a lot of juice, right? I was working 17 hours a day. I had the talent. Like there's a lot going on there, but that's what happened. And so like, not that I expect that from everybody, but the nuances work. I'm not fucking making stuffed animals that can get caught up in LA. Like we need to pre-sell that shit down in Connecticut. That's it. 70% on what's working, fucking squeeze the shit out of it because you got something good there. And you could fucking have nothing but fun, Aaron, like with whatever creative idea you have. But here's the rule for your fucking DNF, charisma, and creativity like me. It's only pre-sell. Any cockamanian shit out of your mouth is only pre-sell. And if you sell by the way, you also make a lot more money when you pre-sell. You guessed how many fucking stuffed animals to make. On pre-sale, you're like, oh shit, we can make more, And when you price it with worst case scenario, we only sell 50 of them. This is how much it costs. Now all of a sudden you sell 530, you get it cheaper. Like the whole thing works.
We're good. Gary, can we get a photo of you, like just smiling or not smiling? I
like smiling.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Love it. Thank you. That was great.
Awesome.
Team, listen, this was a really epic session because it was sharp. I think, I don't know, I was in a good mood or something, or sharp, or it just all worked out for like shit that I've been, a lot of like, actually now I'm looking around, it's just because I've been doing everything that, I'm very tied into this crew. We have like a lot going on here. Listen, there's a couple themes I want to leave you with. First, start falling in love with pre-sale because it can really help you. Start like really thinking about that. 2, if you do not go ham on TikTok content, you will be making such a regretful moment because we've got 2 more years of this and then it's going to go away. It's going to go away, right? And so like I saw somebody referenced with the new Apple updates getting like shit changes. TikTok's going to get saturated because everyone's going to figure out what I know. And it's just supply and demand of the feed. And really, really building that community stuff, like building, like Doug, for you, like if you guys can just hold your breath for 4 months and actually build a Discord, you'll win. You'll mitigate all the other chants out, but you have to do it. Like building communities really matter. Obviously, the Simons know that because that's what they're built on. Like community can really work for you. Like Discord's a sneaky one. It's winning so big in video games and in NFTs. I actually think it's going to go to everything. So one left field thing for all of you. If Doug stands up a Discord, at first, a lot of people aren't going to, his core customer base isn't really going to know what that is, but it's so native to people because it's old AOL chat room DNA. So like even like people that aren't technically awesome very quickly get comfortable inside a Discord. Worth thinking about. Definitely worth you jumping into some Discords. Join the VeeFriends one just so you understand it, right? Actually, that's what I'm going to put that link in here. All of you should definitely back to more like actions instead of just talking about it. Here is the VeeFriends Discord. Join it. See how Discord, get comfortable with this, download the app, like get comfortable with it for you. And then I think it can really work for you. Like, for example, if Garrett starts a, you know, young parents of Virginia Discord, runs Facebook ads against young people, like young parent age on Facebook ads to a Discord, not to sign. Think about how much easier the ad will convert to join a Discord versus do you want to pay $8,000 in tuition? Now you got them in a Discord, you live in there and cultivate a community. Now you're getting them in for 49 to 7, you see 49 cents to $7 into the Discord, but you're fucking converting them after 2 months when they realize there's something really in there. Got it? Great time. Bye, everyone. This portion is like with me, so I think this is when you need to get selfish. Like you need to ask your question. Hiring is guessing. Firing is knowing. Like you gotta go fast. That's how you get shit done. That's how you figure stuff out.
This is the television, and the television is the radio.
So 4 Ds, motherfuckers.